Alright, against my better judgment, I've been compelled to give my Summerslam thoughts. I was hoping to be better than last year's, and I was sadly disappointed. The highlight for me, honestly, was Beth Phoenix and Santino Marella winning their titles. Winning the Intercontinental and winning the title. Although Aaron was pushing for a reversal of the titles. He was begging for it. You should have heard him in the background. Not a little over 2 hours ago now. Oh, anyway. Very disappointed in the ECW title match. 10 seconds or whatever it was. That was stupid. It was very stupid. WWE title match was terrible. World title match was terrible. Like I said, the intergender match was what it was. It was actually pretty good considering what it was. Jeff Hardy and MVP was okay. Hell in a Cell was not as good as Hell in a Cells I've seen in the past, but it was okay. I felt when they left the ring through the cage they should have done more, and they didn't, and it sucked. I think JR got hit in the face, though. I think we were all laughing about poor JR got hit in the face. I think it knocked his glasses off because he didn't wear glasses the rest of the match. I think the cage broke his glasses over his face, which sucks for JR, but it's funnier than hell. The spot off the ladder, the choke slam or the choke throw, whatever you want to call it, through the ring, that was like, okay. We weren't really sure what the payoff was going to be, and all of a sudden, the fire, we're like, oh, okay, that's what he did. He choke slammed him to hell. It makes sense. But we were wondering about poor Edge getting deep fried under there. We were like, oh my god, did he escape? Holy crap. No, okay, he's fine. But enough of that SummerSlam. You don't want to hear that shit from me. You guys want to hear my thoughts on your questions. You guys want to hear my responses to your well thought out and very well typed questions. So with that, here goes episode 31 of Talk Wrestling. This is from Don Domino. Will you guys ever get Scott Hall on your show, and will he ever return to WWE or TNA? He's having a good time wrestling in Puerto Rico and in Mexico right now. I don't think you'll see him come back to either of the two big companies. As far as him being on this show, if he's ever in Southern California, I'd love to have him. I have his MySpace page, so I will MySpace him specifically for you, Don Domino, and for the fans of Talk Wrestling, and see if he'll be on the show. They'll probably make me pay him, which in that case he won't be on the show. I can't afford that, neither can Aaron. But we'll see what happens. I'd like to have Scott Hall on this show. It'd be cool to have his insights on business, because he's been around for over 20 years now. So that'd be cool to have Scott Hall on this program. Hot Rod. So I've been a fan for a long time, and I've got to know, who's your favorite champion? ECW, WCW, WWF/WWE of all time? My favorite ECW champion of all time, before WWE bought ECW, was Taz. Reason for that is because when I started watching ECW in early '99, Taz was the first champion I saw in ECW. The WWE version of ECW, who else am I going to pick? Come on, you guys know, he's been on the show. Come on, help me out there. Hey, Rob Van Dam, exactly. I spoke with Rob recently. He's doing very well. By the way, Sonya is undergoing chemotherapy. She's getting better. And my thoughts and my prayers are with Rob and Sonya Van Dam, and for a speedy recovery for her. And you guys are too fucking cool to be brought down by something like cancer. So kick its ass and take no prisoners. You guys are cool. WCW champion. My favorite WCW champion of all time. Everybody expects me to say Hogan, so I'll go with that. Strictly because Hulk Hogan, as the WCW champion, brought new fortune, brought new glory, brought new notoriety to the WCW title and to WCW as a whole. Especially when he was Hollywood Hogan in the NWO. And WWF or WWE champion. God, there's been so many WWF and WWE champions in the last 18 years that I've been watching wrestling. Oh, man. You know, I'm going to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin in a tie with Hulk Hogan. Hogan was champion when I started watching. Actually, Warrior was champion when I started watching it, but Warrior's not going to be on my list ever. Unless it's like a worse list, and then Warrior would be on there. But I'd say it's tied between Hogan and Austin for the best WWF WWE champion of all time. This is from, at the time, it said Undertaker please return. This is, he guys changed the screen name yet. But, what do you think was the Undertaker's best feud? Wow. He said a lot of them. I'd say it's a tie between Mankind and Kane. The Mankind character brought out the demon within the Undertaker, the dark side within the Undertaker, and led to the big heel turn at the end of '98. Because Undertaker and Mankind fought for 2 years, and Undertaker, was brutal against Mankind. I remember Hell in a Cell. I just watched that match the other day recently. Just because I was reading Foley's first book and he was recounting it, and I had to see the match again just to watch how brutal it truly was. It's a sight to behold. And then, of course, the feud with Kane, the brotherly feud that went on for a couple years and was reborn again 4 years ago with the return at WrestleMania 20. Both great feuds, both good storytelling, good drama, good emotional attachment from the fans to the stories, and just very well written on both storylines. Let's see here. Thomas Kennedy, do you think AJ Styles and Kurt Angle should compete in an Iron Man match to continue or end their feud? Well, I mean, they had a last man standing match at Hard Justice. What more do you want out of those guys? They beat the crap out of each other in that match. And at this point in his career, I don't think Angle's ready for an Iron Man match. It's very hard for somebody in Angle's condition with his injuries to go 30 or 60 with a guy like AJ Styles. I don't see that as happening. I think it's just unrealistic. I really do. This is from Destin. Beth Phoenix has been saying that she's the most dominant female wrestler, past, present, and future. So what do you think of a possible Beth Phoenix feud with the short-term return of Chyna? I'd like to see that. I really would like to see that. However, after speaking with Joni Lauer Chyna many times in the last few years, I can tell you right now it'll be a cold day in hell before she works for Vince McMahon again. She hates Vince McMahon. She hates Triple H and Stephanie for what she perceived as they did to her, and it is very unlikely it'll happen. If it does happen, Beth will get the win in the feud because Chyna will be pushed short term, then she'll go away again. But I'd like to see Beth Phoenix now against the Chyna of '99 or 2000, because that'd be a great feud. I'd like to see that a lot. Another one from Thomas Kennedy. What's your opinion on the state of WWE's tag team division right now compared to TNA's? Sucks. All three tag team divisions suck. SmackDowns, Raws, and TNA's. They're terrible. I mentioned this on the show, I believe it was last week's show, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I have trouble keeping track of shows. The tag team divisions in wrestling, unless you're on the indie circuit, are terrible. And even the indie circuit, they're putting teams together at the last minute, but at least there's decent teams you see. Ring of Honor has a great tag team division. I've watched their stuff. They're incredible with their tag team titles. Briscoes, Age of the Fall, the Kings of Wrestling back in the day. All those guys, they're great. So yeah, the tag team divisions in the mainstream wrestling suck. I don't like tag team wrestling right now. Let's see. Hey, this is from Elle. Hey there, Jeff. I just have a question about WWE. Don't know how to word it, but how do you feel about the WWE title and the world title being defended by the same 4 or 5 people, and they keep the feuds going for months on end? Do you feel it gets boring after the first few months? In this day and age, yes. Back in the day, when you didn't have, 5 hours of TV to put together every week, of live TV to put together every week for the fans, you could draw out a feud for months at a time. And you didn't have pay-per-views, you had pay-per-views once every few months. You could do that. You could draw out feuds for months at a time. Look at Hogan Warrior. Look at Hogan Slaughter. Look at Hogan Orndorff. Hogan and Andre. Savage and Hogan, which dragged on. Flair and Sting. Flair and Steamboat. All those feuds that drug on, you know, Flair and Terry Funk, which went on for all of '89. You know, Flair and Magnum TA, or Flair and Dusty, which went on forever. You know, but in this day and age, it's hard to keep the fans' interest. It's hard to keep the people's interest in general with a feud that goes on and on and on and on. Personally, I'm sick of seeing Orton and Triple H. That's why Orton is hurt. I'm actually glad Randy got hurt. Not that he got hurt, but I'm glad they took him out of the title picture, and I'm glad they focused on new people for the WWE Championship to be challenged for. That didn't make sense, but you know what I'm trying to say. I like the fact that they put CM Punk as the world champion, and have allowed him to face different people. They do tend to draw out the feuds for a long time, and it gets old because you see the same thing on TV every week. You see the same match on pay-per-view every month, and it gets old. They find ways to revitalize the feuds, like with Edge and Undertaker. They had the match at WrestleMania, they had the match at Backlash, and they had a TLC match, the Kane's falling. Then they had a Hell in a Cell match, and that one seemed to work. It seemed to be drawn out. It seemed to build toward something bigger and better every time. But you don't see feuds like that too much anymore. Alright, this is from Michael. What do you think wrestling would be like if Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan never left for WCW? Wow. Philosophical question. Well, if Hogan had never left for WCW, had never joined WCW in the summer of 1994, I don't think there ever would have been a Monday Night Wars. I think WCW would have folded a lot sooner than they did. WCW at the time was still losing money. WCW at the time was not a profitable company for Ted Turner's organization. And if it hadn't been for Ted Turner, Turner Broadcasting and CNN and all that would have closed WCW a long time before that. They were out of business in '92 almost, 2 years before Hogan was still with the WWE. Bret Hart leaving did not make much of an impact as everybody thought it would. As far as on WCW, he was pushed to the mid-card very quickly and just became one of the boys in WCW. Bret Hart's leaving had a huge impact on WWE, the WWF at the time, because it allowed Vince McMahon to evolve into the Mr. McMahon character that we all know and love today, and be a great foil for the anti-hero Stone Cold Steve Austin to play off of. And that was the feud of the year for 2 years, 98-99. And without that feud, the Attitude Era wouldn't have been revitalized, it wouldn't have been really established, and Austin may not have rose to the heights that he did. So it had a huge, Bret Hart leaving had a huge impact on WWE, not so much on WCW. This is from Joker, much like Aaron's shirt. Is Awesome Kong's assistant Raisha Saeed related to, or at least trained by, the Great Muta? Because her stance and fighting style is extremely similar. Raisha Saeed, better known as Cheerleader Melissa on the indie circuit, to my knowledge, is not trained by the Great Muta. I believe she was trained here in the United States on the East Coast. I can look it up. I don't have the answer right in front of me, obviously. I don't have a computer. But I don't believe she was trained by Muta. She does have a very similar stance to Muta, but she's trying to adopt the martial arts style of her fighting for the Raisha Saeed character. So you'll see a lot of Japanese stuff incorporated into her stance and into her fighting style. But I don't believe Muta trained her, no. Accidentally in Love wants to know what I think was the worst heel turn in pro wrestling history. Not worst as in a good heel, but just a bad character of being heel. His opinion is Goldberg when he was in WCW as a heel. I would agree. That was a terrible heel turn. That lasted like 3 weeks. Goldberg turned on Nash, I believe it was, and speared him and let Jeff Jarrett retain the WCW Championship. And immediately, and that was a last-minute thing. Bischoff and Russo promised a big surprise at the Great American Bash that year, and it fell through. So they said, let's turn Goldberg heel, and they did it, and it sucked. He was terrible heel. Goldberg was never going to be anything but a dominant babyface, except when he was WWE, when he sucked. Goldberg was much better over as a monster babyface, as a huge babyface. And that heel turn killed the momentum he had. And he had no reason to turn heel for Russo. He was against Russo. The whole booking in WCW at that point made me cringe. It was just terrible. I stopped watching after a while. It was terrible. Next week on Talk Wrestling, we'll talk more about your questions. We'll delve into more things, and we'll see what else will happen. You never know what's going to happen on Talk Wrestling, so for now, stay tuned. Same bat time, same bat channels, because we have 3 channels, NoDQ.com, MySpace, and YouTube, NoDQCAW. Leave the comments, ask the questions on the MySpace or the Yahoo email. The inboxes are open, so send them in, and we'll see you next time.